What's up? Aaron right here, Canadian Looney. I'm not going to try to sell you some stupid sticker or mislead you with a bull title. That's what Sunshine Baby does, and if you enjoy that, continue to enjoy it. His content is squat. Like, it's embarrassing the way he misleads you. He might as well be part of Carney's cabinet. Anyhow, on to the next. We've got one of the greatest speeches that I've ever witnessed in the House of Commons. This is Matt Strauss, MP from Ontario, and he is going to expose Carney's budget. Man, this guy goes deep. He's a doctor, a surgeon, even more. Like, let's just check this out. Again, Aaron here, like, share, subscribe. We're not going to try to sell you some stupid sticker or fool you with a thumbnail and fake title. We report Canadian federal politics. Get yours right here. Let's get into this crazy speech. It is a wild one.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
Resuming debate, reprise du débat, the honourable member for Kitchener South Escler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a real doozy of a budget. It is such a doozy that perhaps this will be my last speech in this Parliament. So let's make it count. I want to start with some confessions. I believe we need to spend less and invest more. I believe we need to build Canada strong. And I believe we need to make generational investments in Canada's future. Unfortunately, this budget does none of those things. Each of those slogans are taken straight from the Prime Minister's mouth or the Liberal Party platform. We are 6 months in. The budget is 6 months late. Even with that homework extension, the budget fails to produce on each one of the Liberals' own platform promises. And this House must give their work a failing grade. Let's walk through them. The central promise: to spend less and invest more. In an April 19th Instagram video, the Prime Minister explained what he means by that. He likened it to purchasing a house, where the purchase price is a capital investment and heat and electrical are operating expenses. So let's take the first half of his promise on his own terms. Is he spending less on operating expenses? No. By their own extremely loose definition of investment, the operating expenses are going up under Budget 2025. Those following at home, please turn with me to Table A1.5 on page 233 of the budget.
I ask the honourable member to please be very careful when changing pages. It is a noise that disturbs the interpreters. Close to the microphone, please. Thank you.
Day-to-day operating balance was minus $4.1 billion under the Liberals' definition for 2024, and it will be $33 billion under their definition for 2025. So this is what spending less on operating expenses looks like to this Prime Minister, increasing the operating deficit by 700%. Have they gone mad? Do their promises mean nothing? How are we supposed to have a democracy where you can run an election on balancing the operating budget and then increase the operating deficit by 700% in your first year? This is a terrible trick on voters. You know, if I wasn't already signed up for Blue Team and a well-dressed Goldman Sachs banker ran for Prime Minister with Red Team, promising to spend less and invest more, I might have believed him. I might have voted for him. That's how much I agree we should spend less and invest more. Millions of thoughtful and prudent Canadians did believe him and did vote for him. The rug today has been pulled out from under them. This budget is a sham. They are spending more. And before they start shouting about tariffs across the way, please turn to page 66 of the budget document, Table 1, where the government estimates that $7 billion of the deficit is due to tariffs, what they call economic and fiscal developments since 2024. So the operating deficit increases by $33 billion, but only $7 billion of that is in any way a consequence of tariffs. The rest is self-inflicted. So let's talk about the second half of their promise, to invest more. The issues are twofold: how much investment and whether the investments are good or bad. Thank God for the Parliamentary Budget Officer. Table 1 of the PBO report on the budget shows an increase in capital investment based on the PBO definition of $7 billion for 2025. So the deficit has doubled from $40 billion to $80 billion, a $40 billion increase, and only a fraction of this, $7 billion, is new investment under this definition. Obviously, this is not generational or transformative, just in terms of the size of the investments, but are they good or are they bad investments? You know, I'm a physician. I do my own investing for my retirement. And how to define an investment as good or bad is very easy. A good investment provides a good rate of return. A bad investment provides a negative rate of return. To use the Prime Minister's Instagram example, if you buy a $1 million house, that indeed is an investment. If that house loses 20% of its value, you are $200,000 poorer, and that is a very bad investment. Every single year that these Liberals have been in power, they have told us that they are taking our money through taxes to invest it for us because we don't know how to invest as well as they do. They did it in 2015. Their platform promised, quote, historic new investments in infrastructure. In 2019, their platform promised, we will run modest deficits for 3 years so that we can invest in growth for the middle class. And their 2021 platform promised to immediately invest $6 billion to support the elimination of health system waitlists. So what sort of returns did we get on this investment? Did any of that happen? I do not see the historic infrastructure they built from 2015. I don't see that the middle class has experienced growth. In fact, I see that it has been decimated by their inflationary deficits. And lastly, as a practicing physician, I can promise you that far from eliminating health system waitlists, like they promise, waitlists are worse now than they have ever been. Furthermore, the national debt has gone from $600 billion to $1.2 trillion over these last 10 years. So none of this quite seems like their investments are paying off. It rather seems like Canadians know how to invest, but the government keeps taking their money and then investing it on white elephant programs that provide no rate of return. What is the top line conclusion of this? We're now spending $60 billion on debt financing. That's more than we spend on healthcare transfers or on national security. So it does not seem to me that in the aggregate or in any specific case, that when the Liberals say they're going to take your money to invest it on your behalf, that they do any sort of a great job at it ever. It never seems like their investments provide anything like an acceptable rate of return. In fact, Bernie Madoff gave his clients a better rate of return. But let's take a specific case and drill deeper, housing investment. I find myself asking, how many members in this House have ever, with their own hands, built a house from start to finish? By show of hands. We'll return to that. So not many of them, Madam Speaker. And this doesn't surprise me. In general, politicians do not know how to build anything because they don't build things. Builders build things, and home builders build houses. In Canada, home builders have always built homes. The reason they aren't building homes now is because they aren't allowed to. My friend Cal is a small-time renovator who lives in Kitchener. He bought a dilapidated house in London, Ontario. He wants to renovate it into a triplex so that 3 families can move in. He's waited months and months for the city to approve it. I have an Albanian friend, Ben. He's a mid-sized housing developer in Kitchener. He bought a plot of land. He wants to build 36 townhomes. The city fought him and said you can only build 16. He had to get lawyers and fight in the Ontario Land Tribunal for 2 years to finally be allowed to build homes during a housing crisis. My friend Mike owns a gym in Kitchener. He moved locations. To get his operations running up at capacity, he needed to put in a new washroom for a change room. It took months and months to get that permit for a toilet. In each case, it is terribly demoralizing and financially injurious to have bureaucrats tell you what you can and can't do with your own property when you're trying to build houses and provide services for our communities. In every case, and this is the issue from coast to coast to coast, it is bureaucrats who stand in the way, who say it takes 9 months to approve a toilet. Rather than standing up for against this violation of property rights and letting builders build, the federal government is going to spend $15 billion for a new federal bureaucracy to add on to the municipal bureaucracies. This won't work. It's a bad investment. So even if you thought the Liberals had perhaps turned over a new leaf after 10 years of bad investment, I'm sorry to disabuse you of this notion. Pouring money into bureaucracy will not fix the housing crisis. It is the cause of the housing crisis. We need to build Canada strong, but this budget builds Canadian bureaucracy strong. I want to make a last point about their last promise, generational investment. This budget is not providing generational investment. It is providing generational debt. They are increasing spending by a lot and investment by a little. The sum total is $2,000 of new debt for every man, woman, and child in our nation just this year. I have a 3-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. How could I kiss them goodbye this morning and tell them I'm going to Ottawa to vote for a budget that puts them in thousands and thousands of dollars of debt before they even hit kindergarten? I honestly ask, do the Liberal MPs have small children? Have you told them that you're raiding their college fund, foreclosing on their future to place bets on government bureaucracies that never pay off? I can't imagine they have, Mr. Speaker. In fact, I suspect that they were rather taken in by the Prime Minister's promises as well. I suspect that they did want to build Canada strong, that they did want to spend less and invest more, and I suspect many of them are feeling terribly disappointed now. To them, may I extend my warmest personal invitation to come sit next to me on this side of the House. Please stand up now if you'd like to take the offer. Thank you.
Questions and comments. The Honourable Parliament Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, interesting, the member wants to bring up housing. I did actually build a house right from the basement all the way to the top, including the roof shingles, Madam Speaker. Just gone week, so if you want the full address, I'll be happy to provide it to you. Madam Speaker, at the end of the day, let's take a look at the leader of the Conservative Party. He was actually the minister responsible for housing. You'll never guess how many homes he built, Madam Speaker, or responsible for non-profit housing. You can count them by only using 2 hands, minus 4 fingers. Madam Speaker, at the end of the day, the Conservatives are an absolute total disaster on housing. Having said that, misinformation is a serious issue.
That's right.
You know, if you listen to the Conservatives, they talk about the deficit. Well, let's talk about Japan, France, the UK, the United States, Japan. These countries, all of their deficit to GDP ratio is much higher than Canada. I've got news for the member. Canada is not burning. Canada is the best country in the world to call home. And if the Conservatives would get off their pot and stop condemning and saying how bad Canada is, they can actually contribute to building, as he says he believes in, Canada strong. I believe in Canada strong. Won't he support a budget that actually believes in Canada strong?
The Honourable Member for Kitchener South Hesper.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, to the second point, it's easy to tell mistruths with statistics. Canada's federal debt is low compared to peer countries. As a percentage of GDP, but Canada's total public debt, because the federal government offloads so many services like education, housing in some important respects, and healthcare to the provinces have taken on terrible debts. The federal government has to backstop that debt, and that is what puts us at risk of having a difficult time financing our debt, let us say. So it's important to choose the correct specifics when you're talking about a specific statistics when you're talking about a specific problem. As for my leader's record as a housing minister, this is a very tired attack. I can't believe he didn't hear the answer in the speech that I gave. Builders build homes. Housing ministers don't build homes. That's why we've had housing minister after housing minister from the Liberal side promise to solve the housing crisis.
We have to get more questions.
We'll wrap it up right there, gang. Aaron, Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe, get notified. We do want people to watch, but we're not going to try to sell you something stupid, sell you some bullshit sticker, something foolish, some kind of misleading title bullshit, like thumbnails, everything that a lot of these hacks do on here. I don't find it's okay to me. Anyhow, what are you going to do? Watch Canadian Looney. Like, share, subscribe. I'm Aaron. We watch Canadian federal politics right here. We don't try to cut it up too much. We want you seeing and making the decisions for yourself. I don't want to be a big influencer, like tell you what I think so that you think it. I would like to show you the information so that you have it. Make up your own mind. Go right ahead. That's the game we play here. Not like this foolishness selling you stickers and wasting your money on memberships that you can't really afford. I mean, I don't understand how this guy looks himself in the mirror. That's what I think about that. Aaron, Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching this one.